Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together. We'll start as usual with a question that comes in advance. So we get questions from our online family joining us on so many different channels of the wonderful world of online connection. So they send in questions. We'll start with one of those, and then any question that anyone here might have, we'll take that. Is it necessary to believe in God and have faith in God in order to achieve self-realization? So do we need to believe in God in order to achieve self-realization? You don't need to believe in God by any particular name or form. But you need to believe in the capital S, self. See, if I think that all I am is a body, if I think that all I am is this material existence, then I can never actually have self-realization because I'm focused only on the physical. I mean, it's certainly possible that by some beautiful moment of grace we will be touched anyway, awakened anyway. It certainly can happen. I was not a believer in God. I should use myself as an example. But by grace, I was touched in a very powerful way. So it can happen. But once it happens, you definitely start believing. And ideally, if you're walking toward it, if it's something you're working toward. Because see, for me, it never was something that I had been looking for, because it was never something I knew existed. No one ever said to me, oh, and by the way, this physical body is not really who you are. There's this thing called soul and spirit and divinity, and you are it. No one ever told me that. It wasn't even close to the worldview that I had. I was an academic, a scientist. But if self-realization is something that you want to be walking toward, that you are going to be on a path of, as I deeply believe we all should be on a path. I mean, the fact that I managed truly by no merit of my own to have had these experiences just by grace. I mean, it was an incredible blessing. It's still an incredible blessing. But it's actually a path that we can walk on. We don't have to wait that suddenly, just out of the blue, grace is going to descend and touch us. We can actually walk it. We've got a whole teaching and tradition of sadhana, of meditation, of yoga, that actually takes us to, whether you say self-realization or God-realization. So, no, you don't have to believe in God by a name, a form, a specific religion or tradition. But you absolutely have to begin the path with the awareness that you're walking towards something other than your physical body. That my journey of self-realization is not just to have a deeper understanding of, exactly how much I weigh down to the microgram, or exactly how tall I am down to the millimeter. It's not about the physical body. And so if we don't have an awareness that we are more than the physical body, we're not going to be walking toward it. So you have to believe in yourself, that capital S self, such that you know there's something to look for. Right? I mean, it's like saying, can you go on a treasure hunt if you don't believe there's a treasure? Well, I mean, sure, you could just be out taking a walk and maybe through some incredible luck, you would literally stumble. You'd hit your toe on something, you'd fall, and as you fell on the ground, your face would plant into the ground, and as you looked up, lo and behold, would be a treasure. But that's not what happens to most people. People looking for treasures go on treasure hunts. They get maps, right? They know what they are looking for. They know the path to get there. Sometimes they find it. Sometimes, usually in the case of treasure hunts, I think it's actually more that people are making up the maps. But on the hunt for the treasure of yourself, you can always find it. The path is always there. It's always a real path. There's nothing made up about it. And there's no way to fail. It's not like a treasure hunt where you could get a map and spend weeks or even months or years searching for a treasure chest that you never find. When you're going for the treasure of the self, the journey is always successful. Doesn't mean you're going to attain enlightenment today or this week or even this lifetime. But as you unfold layer by layer of yourself, that in and of itself is a blessing. It's self-realization's not black or white. It's not all or nothing. The more we meditate, the more we pray, the more we do yoga, the more we do selfless seva, the more we surrender, the more full of devotion we are, the more we cultivate jnana, the freer and freer we get of ignorance, the closer and closer we get to the light. So, have faith in yourself. Know that there is something other than your physical body. Whether you call it soul or spirit or God. And walk toward it. And have faith, not only that it exists, but have faith that it's waiting for you. That it's literally waiting for you. And then you'll find it. Whether in its full entirety in this life, you can, of course. But however much of it we find, however much of it we touch, transforms us. And brings us closer and closer and closer and freer and freer and freer. So if you don't believe in God, no problem. But just believe in yourself. Are there any questions that anyone here might have? Yeah. Sure, we'll come right to you. Just him and then you.
Pranam.
Pranam.
Just a question is, as you said, do you need a guru for self-realization? And if that is the case, is it available to all the people around, or do they need to find a guru themselves?
So, the word guru literally means the remover of darkness and the bringer of light. That's actually what the Sanskrit word means. The one who removes the darkness and brings the light. Now, we don't believe in a darkness of evil. So it's not this sense of a darkness of original sin or who you are at the core needs to be saved. It's more of a belief in what we call original ignorance. That ignorance that you are the body, that you are your stories. And so when we talk about darkness, it's not darkness of you are bad, you are wrong, you are dark. It's darkness of ignorance in which we can't see. And the guru is the one who removes that darkness. Now, do you absolutely need a guru? No. In theory, ultimately what you're learning about and looking at is your own self. So in theory, you don't need any intermediary. You should be able to just close your eyes, go within, and experience the fullness, the truth, the divinity of your self, of your capital S self. You should be able to just close your eyes and do it. The problem is, we've got this thing called ego. And whether our eyes are open or shut, the ego is on. And the ego is the one that's constantly telling us who it thinks we are. The physical body, the roles that it plays, the stories, the drama, the history, what we've done, what's been done to us, who we think we are, right? That whole don't you know who I am-ness. That whole sense of who I think I am. This is the ego. The ego is the one that tells us what we think we need. Right? We say things like, well, that's just who I am. I'm like that. Well, who's the I? So the ego is the one that's constantly trying to box us up. The ego is constantly trying to take jurisdiction over our truth. And to tell us this is who you are, this is who you are this body, you are this role, you are this story, you are this history, you are this bank account. And that's where the darkness stays. It's where we stay stuck. It's where we keep suffering. In anger and greed and envy and jealousy, in regret, in resentment, in frustration. We keep suffering because of the stories of the ego. And this is where the guru comes in. Because the guru is the one who helps us remove that darkness, who helps us see the truth of ourselves. It's like if you've got say a lake, and the lake is very still and you want to see your reflection in the lake, of course you can. You can see it easily. But if the lake is covered with this like film of slime, like sometimes lakes get covered with moss and algae and whatnot, well then you can't see anything. But if you go in and you, with your hands, move it, or if it's, a swimming pool and you've got the guy who comes and cleans the pool and removes that layer of muck from the top, well then you can see the reflection clearly. So the guru is the one who comes in and metaphorically removes that layer of muck that keeps us from being able to see the truth of who we are. So it's not that the guru is giving us who we are or making us who we are. The guru is showing us who we are. And when we know who we are, then everything changes. But here's the thing, it very rarely is a one-time thing. It's a process. I mean, once you've had that first experience, that first darshan, you're transformed. But then thoughts come back, the ego comes back, our patterns come back. And then we get stuck again. And so the guru is the one who keeps metaphorically cleaning that layer of muck so we can see. And the guru is the one who will say to you, that's your ego. Because see, our ego is really smart, and it's very good at convincing us that it is the divine voice. So the ego will say things like, you're really too good for this. You're really too good for this person, for this situation, for this. You really shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. Well, the ego doesn't want you to actually have to open your heart in vulnerability. It doesn't want you to have to surrender. It doesn't want you to be connected on a soul-to-soul level to others. And so the ego is going to keep telling you stories that are going to keep you separate. Did you see the way he talked to you? Why do you put up with that? Did you see the way she looked at you? How dare she? That wasn't nice. You're so nice to her, you do everything for her. Did you see that nasty way she looked at you? You deserve better. Give her the silent treatment. Storm out of the house, whatever it may be. It's the ego. It's the ego trying to keep us separate. Separate from each other, separate from ourselves, separate from our own hearts, from the really deep, frightening if you don't have faith, vulnerability of real surrender. The ego's the one trying to keep us safe. So it's going to keep telling you stories. And then you're going to build your whole life around those stories. And so the guru comes in, and the guru's like, that's just your ego. That's just your ego. And the guru's going to keep guiding you back toward the truth. And obviously not only in your, relationship affairs or householder situations or careers, but on your unfolding of the truth of who you are. So it's not essential in theory, but it becomes almost essential in practice, unless you're someone who, by some beautiful touch of a divine magic wand, are so free of ego that your mind doesn't play tricks on you. And if you think you are, my initial instinct would be careful, that's the game of the ego. The ego's the one who's constantly like, yeah, I'm the most humble one in the room. I've got this humility thing down. And it takes just a shift of focus to realize, oh my God, look at how my ego's playing with me still here, even in my humility, or in my effort toward humility. Look at how the ego's grabbed onto that. Now I'm the best at being humble. So, yeah, from personal experience and from everyone I know on both sides, those who have and those who don't, having a guru is absolutely the most powerful tool, you could say, in your creation, co-creation of your life as you want it to be. And in terms of, is it available to everyone? Of course. There's no prerequisites to have a guru other than to be open to it. If you're so convinced that you already know the way, you're not going to be open to it. If your curtains are drawn, doesn't matter how strong the light is outside, it's not going to get in. You have to open the curtains in order to be able to benefit from the light coming. So you have to be able to open your heart to benefit from that presence. And then, yeah, it'll manifest. Absolutely. And until then, there's so many beautiful teachings of gurus who are, in many cases, no longer in their bodies, in some cases still in their bodies. So even if you haven't necessarily made someone your official guru, it doesn't mean you can't benefit very, very deeply from their wisdom. Yeah. And you had a question.
There are many do and don'ts in this world. There are many ideologies. But I have a confusion since my childhood. Destiny is more powerful or our karmas? And if destiny is more powerful, then we cannot change our present life with the help of our good karmas. Please clear my doubt.
Great. It's a very common question because it's such an important question. Destiny is not separate from our karma. She says, which is more powerful, my destiny or my karma? Well, our destiny is created by our karma. Destiny isn't something that came out of the sky and just landed on you, like a leaf that, drops off of a tree and you happen to be standing in the right place and so the leaf lands on you. Destiny is something that you've created with your karma. Karma means action. And so our actions create our destiny. Each action has, as Isaac Newton explained it in the world of physics. This equal and opposite reaction. Now in karma, we don't think about it as a reaction, but we think about it as a blossoming of a seed. So if you plant a seed, that seed is going to sprout. It's going to give you a tree. The tree is going to give you fruit. The fruit did not arise out of nowhere. It arose out of the tree that arose out of the seed which you planted, or which you allowed someone to plant in the garden of your life. So all of your destiny is created by your karma. So they are interlinked, inseparable, and powerful. But they're not powerful separate from each other. Now, when you think about destiny, most of us think about that which is already written, right? That which we've already done, our prarabdha karma, our sanchit karma, right? The stuff that is already happened, and it's either going to bear fruit in this life or it's going to bear fruit in some upcoming life. But we've also got all of the karma, the actions that we are doing right now. And those are creating our destiny for tomorrow, for next week, for next month, for next year. I always say right now is the of that which has been predestined to happen in your future. You're creating your destiny right here. So for example, you came to Rishikesh. You made a choice, you came. That was a karma, an action. You came to Rishikesh. In Rishikesh, you had an action. You came to the Ganga Arati. Most likely, I assume most of you joined us for the beautiful Arati. After the Arati, you had an action. The action was to come into satsang. Those actions create a ripple impact. You are much less likely to find yourself drunk in a bar come midnight tonight than, say, someone who's made different choices about where to go for their holidays. You are much less likely to wake up tomorrow morning hung over in a sewer than someone who made different choices about how to spend their evening. Every single action you do is creating your destiny. And some of it's immediate. Some of it's what we call kriyaman karma. It means it bears its fruit immediately. And some of what we're doing right now goes into that bank account. The sanchit karma bank account, the prarabdha karma bank account. That which is going to bear fruit later in this life, in future lives. So for example, you study in school. It's going to bear fruit later in this life. Chances are you're going to get a better job. You'll be able to make more income. Although these days with the tech industry being as it is, who knows what's leading to financial success anymore. But in general, you study, you work hard, you work honestly, you're going to be successful. You don't study, you don't work, you lie around. And unless you're one of those people who's, some sort of a TikTok sensation doing videos of yourself lying around doing nothing, you're not going to find yourself being very successful. So on just very simple levels like that, those are what we call this intermediate karma. It's bearing fruit in this life, not immediately. But then some of what we do is going to bear fruit in future lives. But it's all action. It's all karma. It's only a matter of when that karma is going to blossom. When that seed's going to sprout and give us a tree and fruit. So your destiny is something you are creating. Right here, right now. And before the action is a thought. Because actions also don't just stem out of the blue. Some thought, some personality predisposition, some character, some habit leads us to these actions that then create our destiny. And this is why we always say, watch your thoughts. Because your thoughts create your future. Your thoughts create your destiny. Not just automatically, it's not I'm going to sit here and have a thought and I'm going to open my eyes and there it's going to be. But that which I think is going to lead me to act, the actions are going to bear fruit, the fruits are going to become my destiny. So this is where your destiny gets written. So your karma, your actions, your choices are the most powerful tool you have. They are literally creating your destiny. Right here, right now. And this is why harnessing the power of the mind is so powerful and so important. Because when we harness the power of the mind, then we harness the power of the universe, the power of creation. It's our mind that creates. So harness that power of your thoughts. And create your own destiny. And yeah, some of that which is unfolding right now is stuff from the past. Earlier this life, other past lives. But how you cultivate yourself in this life, spiritually, psychologically, is that vessel into which all of the old karmas are going to blossom. And so, for example, if you as a spiritual person develop patience, peace, love, power of conscious choice, well then when certain situations happen in life that may be from past karma, what you would consider your destiny in this moment, you're going to be able to address it, to deal with it, to respond to it in a way that's much more intelligent, much more skillful, much more wise than if you weren't spiritually inclined, than if you didn't have that spiritual grounding or psychological grounding. And so it's going to actually help mitigate all of those difficult moments in life. Because the soil of your mind is so strong and so healthy that it's going to be able to take care of whatever it is that's blossoming without really suffering too much. But if you don't cultivate that, then when life happens, we're unable to deal with it. That's when we lose ourselves. It's when we really suffer. So that that spiritual practice not only helps us create a new destiny for the future, but it enables us to experience the destiny that is unfolding right now with love, with peace, with equanimity, with acceptance, even with joy. And so even if something was our destiny to happen, we're able to accept that destiny peacefully, with balance, without letting it throw us off and cause us to suffer. So the power is in the karma. Pujya Swamiji always says that the advertisement for diamonds that he's seen say diamonds are forever. And he always says diamonds are not forever, but karma is forever. So you watch the karma, because it's gonna weave its thread into you, into that destiny. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evenings. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world. And so much love to all of you.